what can Kouzen Zaka teach us? Okay, Kouzen Zaka's time may, recently been over, but I still wanted to do one last video on him, in long form to really get into the nitty gritty of Kouzen Zaka. Now, this person is often called our Minister of Agriculture, our main man, within the countryside. We call it a paysan, which is one who lives within the countryside. He is a man who really, really respects hard work. He can teach us the value of hard work because oftentimes when we're making petitions to him, when we're petitioning with him and building with Kouzen Zaka, it is for the sake of some kind of financial opportunity. But Kouzen, he love funny because he is not just going to give you something. Oftentimes, he makes sure that you've earned it. He makes sure that it's something that reflects the kind of work you've put in. He is definitely a very you reap what you sow kind of spirit. And so be prepared. Be prepared. Now, he's a legend. He's famous within the Vodou community. And all throughout the month of May, we're hosting ceremony for him. He's also representing a bit more traditional Haitian values. Obviously, we're not an agricultural society like we used to be. People going into the cities, they're modernizing every day, but he represents a lot of traditional Haitian values when it comes to the pursuit of hard work and things like that. And Kouzen, he does not just come by himself. Kouzen has a partner. Her name is Kouzinine, which is essentially female cousin. Now, sometimes people kind of misunderstand their balance. You know what I mean? People will say that Kouzen is the one who brings prosperity in a sense, sort of, because he will open the doors to opportunity. He will definitely open the doors to financial opportunity, but he works in the field. What he does within the lore is that he brings his harvest to his wife, Kouzinine, and she's the one who takes the harvest and brings it to the market. People ignore that girl all the time, and it makes me feel so bad because she's essentially the entrepreneur. She's the one who makes who in he's she's one who makes the money off of the work that he has done, and together they create this wonderful partnership that can create abundance into anyone's life. So when we're talking about offerings for these two spirits, most of the time that offering is going to be done within a garden or outdoors or within a leafy area or something. This offering can be a mix of vegetables and other things that are of the earth. So we're talking corn, potatoes, yams, we're talking all things that are going to grow out of the ground, like, peppers and rice and grains and whatever. And the spread is typically made for him within the ceremony. Now, his distinct meal, though, the one that is made an offering that is actually cooked, is usually chaka. And this is a mix of some of these vegetables and whatnot of the earth. And it includes corn and all these wonderful things. And I'll put a link to maybe a chaka recipe down there so you can see it for yourself and understand what chaka is all about. Now, this chaka is usually spread amongst the people who are participating within the ceremony. He does have a drink, though, as well. And his drink ties into additional information about his identity and the way that he presents himself to people. Because he's not just a hard-working man of the countryside, he's also a bit of a healer. Now, this, in a ways, goes back to the way that, society just used to exist back then. If you're in the countryside, it's not going to be easy for you to find a doctor. And so, in a sense, you have to be your own kind of healer. And Kouzen Zaka is the kind of healer himself. That's why his drink is usually gin or vodka with some leaves that eventually turn into a tincture bottle that you can offer up. Around his time during the month of May, you can pour it. And it is said that if you work very well with Kouzen, people of the countryside will often have this general health tincture on their altar or within their spread so that when they are sick, they can drink some of it and then start getting better for themselves. It is actually medicine, That is that's what it turns into once it's become a tincture over time. But it is just one of the ways that we represent Kouzen. The bottles of Alwa usually have some kind of significance, and the fact that his is such bitter medicine goes back to his ability to heal people because that is one of his personas. Now, his wife, on the other hand, while in partnership with him is typically ignored a lot by, by people. Oftentimes they really only discuss Kouzen, the man, and I want to make sure that we do give her some of her props. Both of these people can be represented with the statue of Francisca and Francisco. I'll put a link to those two as well so that you guys have the ability to purchase them if you'd like and have them on your altar. Um, now, moving on from their offerings, when exactly do we have the ceremony? All throughout May. Some people have it on like May 1st, May 5th, whatever. Sometimes aligning with things that are culturally significant, like Harvest Day within Haitian culture. That's a good time for Kouzen as our Minister of Agriculture. I mentioned that before. But all throughout May, people are celebrating Kouzen. Now, I want you guys to be in preparation for Kouzen for next year, because while May has just passed, this is a great opportunity for you to make sure that you have all of his major offerings. Now, his offerings are going to include the jakut aside from, and within that jakut, which link will be below, you'll also be putting money, because when you give Kouzen money, you're essentially investing in yourself and your own financial opportunities. Now, don't borrow money from this man because he's not gonna like it, okay? And if you do have to borrow, make sure that you return it ASAP. Which is why I always say, give him money that you are not afraid to lose. If you give him like $100, $200, $300 or whatever, it'd be nice. But if you're gonna go back and take it down the line because you need some money or whatever, it makes it pointless. You want to leave the money in there as an offering to Kouzen, okay? And eventually, if it just keeps piling up and stuff, a good thing to do is use that money to spend it on some kind of offering or a new bottle for him if his bottle has run out or something like that. So aside from his jakut, there's also the Kouzen hat, and that hat is put within the offerings with him. The jakut itself typically is tied with 7 different bandanas, usually 7 different colors. You're gonna tie it across you're gonna tie it across the line within the jakut, his little straw handbag, and sometimes people will also give him things like a pipe with tobacco in it. These are 2 other offerings. A sweet called a rapadu. If you know about it, you know about it. If you don't even bother trying to find a rapadu. Like, unless you're within a really concentrated population of Haitians, and traditional Haitians at that, it is not easy to find a rapadu. So I'm not even gonna hold you to it. But these things, along with a green or white candle or blue candle as well, these are all excellent offerings for Kouzen. We even have the co-brand candles on my website for Kouzen Zaka. As you can see, this one is finished, but you can purchase that if you'd like one right now to work with him. Because the month of May is over and we're kind of done with his essential feast month, doesn't mean that you can't continue building on with Kouzen Zaka. I know a lot of people just found out about him. Some people are just now beginning to build a relationship with him, just went to a ceremony. That doesn't mean that your time is just over just because their feast month is over. Just essentially is the beginning of you beginning to work with this loi. Now, Kouzen is one that you want to treat with respect. He has different personas across the island. There's Azaka Mede, Kouzen Zaka, there's like Zaka Krib, and there are different names and slightly different personas that come with Kouzen. And he's one of the few lois that have this, that can occur like this. Aside from someone like Jean Ezuli, in Ogu, very few lois will have different personas in the way that Kouzen does. And so if you see him popping up under a different name that may not be Kouzen Zaka, that's okay, because that's typical. That's a pretty normal and confusing, I know, but it is a pretty normal feature of Vodou. It's not a bug. Now, so you're thinking right now you have all this stuff. You got his offerings, you got the knowledge and stuff, and you're about to get ready to make an offering to Kouzen. What day should you do it on? You can do it on a Friday, or you can do it on any day. And I know a lot of times we get stuck with these days that, we have to connect with a certain law on a specific day. When it comes to Kouzen, Friday and Saturdays are popular days for him. But I've been exposed to so many different kinds of Vodou from different parts of the island. And I've seen people do it on different days. And if you don't know what they did in your habitación, you don't know what the day that your family themselves do it, you can either choose the day that you work with all your other spirits, you can choose the day of your spiritual house, or you can choose the day that just you feel called to do it on. You know, ask Kouzen, ask him, like, yo, my man, when should I do this for you? And let your connection to Kouzen be your guide.